CFR Network, CFR News, Shalom Balance Paradise, Righteousness, all back diligently, as you don't know, working hard in the lab. I got the sibling with me, Noon Science. Tar, what do you do, sibling? Welcome back and black to the broadcast. What do you do?
Yeah, true peace, man. I'm glad to be here. You know, every time we come together, there's always something big going on.
Leave them in there because they're there for a purpose, right? Everything has its purpose on this plane of existence. Now, if you want to talk about farmed fish, then you go down that crazy, rabbit hole. I'm not partaking in any kind of farmed fish. Yeah. But that's another story.
When Noon identifies these cycles and seasons that we're in, and that's a part of Zupu or six ether, the most negative side of the one supreme being. And it's opposite of Nupu. When Nupu is ruling degree by degree. So what happens on one side of the smart circle of existence, the Zoop counters it millions of years later. So if you got on 6 East, our ancestor was born from the planet with help of the sun and the moon and all those energies that help keep them safe. 18 million years later, on the other side of the horizon, right, when you start coming into what our ancient ancestors called the tuat or the duat of existence now, not during their time, they a lot of that knowledge got lost. But once we came on the other side of existence, our ancestors start having us, and that protection that the earth and the universe provided naturally, the negative side of the one supreme being started taking away that natural support and help. Where there was no danger and death on one side, Zupu comes in and brings in natural death and accidents and spirit forces that used to help our ancestors on this side now become predators, as well as we start becoming predators and they start producing predatory animals, predatory sea life, predatory extraterrestrials, all throughout the universe. It's like that. This is where the origin of it comes from. So once you get down here, now the planet and the universe produce our ancestors is organic at the beginning of existence. Once Zupu comes in, again, we're talking about degree by degree. So this side is the positive side, and this is the negative side, but it's separated by millions of years. So as Nuke goes over this way, eventually it gets on one side, then the Zoop counters everything that the Nuke did millions of years ago, because those two can exist at the same time, physically, spiritually, and ethically. So once you get down to where we at now, the opposite of organic is what?
GMO, genetically modified.
Now we're talking about human beings, or of humanity. What is the most anti-opposite of a human being? And it's already out in the world, all over the place. What's the opposite of an organic human being?
I don't know where you're going with it. Drop it.
AI.
Oh shit! But that's not fleshly though.
Right, but it's opposite because the universe produced flesh, blood beings in the beginning. The Zoop started metamorphosizing. This is what gamma radiation is. It mutated not just human beings, but it created an equal opposite of our ancestors, because our ancestors was physical male and female gods and goddesses. AI is a negative form of that, but it's intelligent as hell, intelligent a human being. A god, female or masculine, is more intelligent than a human being. So the Zoop created the opposite of the pygmy gods and goddesses, which is what AI is. It's artificial intelligence versus natural intelligence in the positive. That's what we're seeing. And this is exactly why it's a danger, because it's, remember, again, like I just said, Zupu is countering the Nuke. And that's what AI is. AI is not really created by extraterrestrial beings and all that. The Zoop is the prime power behind that via gamma radiation, because gamma radiation is a result, evolution is a result of gamma radiation. It's a deterioration, and it makes you depend on it. The same way our ancestors used to depend on the planet and our own intelligence, now you depending on fake food and the computer, the telephone, the banks, the digital, you understand? It's taken away from you to make you less than what you are. That's gamma radiation all day long. But when you start throwing in the sex forces and this, and Leviathan created all of the sex toys and this, see, they don't know what Leviathan is. And this is why a lot of us are being destroyed, because we don't understand that. Because Noon isn't spread around enough yet to where people can understand what they're looking at. You see what I'm saying? So as far as what we're supposed to do over here, it's already being done. The process of elimination and separation and liberation are at play. And those who not gonna make that are gonna be wiped out, which is happening right now. But the thing is, what we all have to do, especially in America, is understand their race lines, their rules of nature. And human beings are not supposed to be commingling how they're mingling, because the results of it is a disaster. And you can look at that in Abraham Lincoln knew that. If you look at some of his speeches, he'll tell you that the races shouldn't be together. He even said that if he could save the Union without freeing a slave, he would have. So he still was down with the enslavement at the same time. You know, so, but then again, this is negative form of nature. See, gamma radiation is what? Deterioration. And it causes things of what? To get old, decay, and die, and separate and go into a lesser state. All right, case in point, MLK was a victim of gamma radiation, and it manifested in form of integration, which is actually a form of fusion, because fusion, nuclear fusion, is the positive, bringing back that which deteriorated, but that was negative, because it caused you to integrate with a dying death system and the people that uphold it. You understand? That's like with the they trying to get us to take the juice, right? You integrate with that, you already know that's death. That's going to take you out. So why would you tell your people, who we done seen all these examples up before MLK got into position, why would you integrate your people into that? Because it killed us more than it did anything else. And according to what I heard, they said that Martin Luther King told Harry Belafonte that he feared he integrated his people into a burning building.
Yes.
Of course you did. And that didn't work, because in him doing that, it killed more people than all the cops, all of the gangs, all of the crack, all of the drugs, and all of that, because we ended up being set up. Soon as he died, they killed him in the 60s, right? A couple of years later, what happened? 1970, after they got rid of they killed the Black Panthers, messed them up, brought in heroin and pimping and black exploitation movies and welfare, broke the family up. Now imagine if the integration thing wasn't there. They wouldn't have had no reason to come into your neighborhood and do as much damage as they was doing, because we had banks and everything else. Following him, right, is what helped cause us to fall into the degradation we in right now. And they killed him before he could tell
the truth.
Problem what had happened. And then they replaced him with Jesse, Messy Jesse.
Messy Jesse, yep.
Who was down with the whole program. So you got all these cats who done came in and fooled everybody. And this is another problem the same thing with what Umar is doing. Because there's no way you can say you follow Garvey, rest in power, and I hope he reincarnated. Matter of fact, he don't need the rest. He need to be back. He was saying go back home, and then you mixing his name. What the other guy name? Frederick Douglass. These are two opposites. One wanted to be here, and he ended up marrying a Caucasian woman after his black wife. What sense does that make to put two people who was totally ideologically opposed? That's how Leviathan works.
Yes.
That's radiation, deterioration, integration to our people. So you using Garvey to put his name in something that anybody, again, we so ignorant, because that's what's stopping us from, again, anybody when they hear this conversation on this point, please look up what Marcus Garvey taught and said to do in action. And then look up Frederick Douglass and see what he taught to do in action. And you'll see that Frederick Douglass in this is what helped produce Martin Luther King. And I'm gonna tell you that Christianity had no answers, because Martin had to go and look to Gandhi as an example to what he thought was a solution, but it didn't work. And that's what Zupu does. Zupu is the worst mind of the one supreme being, and it gives you all the wrong answers to your problems. And Gandhi was a racist.
Yes.
And he liked to mess with young girls.
Yes.
And give them enemas. He had a fetish with enemas. But we don't, again, and Martin had knowledge, because it's a lot of his speeches where he talks about the history before Columbus. So why are you following a Hindu to get your inspiration? You mean it was nobody in history? And in his very Bible had people that didn't go for being slaves. It's plenty of examples in the Old Testament that they was fighting and they weren't trying to hear that. But he led us in all these generations to now. Did not help us. It actually went against us.
Do you think that did you think that it was sheerly, or it was driven by the being itself, MLK, or this was the negative spirits that are...
Yeah, it was the negative spirit, because the Bible itself is anti-Black. The spirits and the powers that rule with the Bible are anti-us. And we've seen that. That's already been done. Nobody can argue that. But people are not spiritual. So they look at the Bible based upon the individual that may be able to do a little bit of good with it. But when you look at the history of it and the people that rule with it, you have to agree that whatever force that's rolling with them and how they went across the world, gave Africa, they gave us the Bible and took the land, came over here, did the same thing. That means the force that's ruling the majority of that book is negative, and it's anti-white. I mean, it's anti-non-white. These are historical facts, even up to this day. And because of that is why we need to understand the history. The only way you could break the spell as far as the Bible to an extent is, one, the spirit has to be removed that program you to stay into something that never helped you at all. And secondly, correct information, because in order to be able to go against a lie, you got to have the truth. And most of us are not seeing it because we're distracted, because we didn't ignore Marcus Garvey and certain other teachers that said separate and get out of here. Afro-Unu put the same information in there, but he explains why the races don't get along. He explains the invisible parts of it, because it's not going to help if I'm listening to a pro-Black person saying, separate, da, da, da. They're only giving you certain ingredients, but those people lack the spirituality, the actual hands behind it all. And that's what we're suffering from the most. So now, guess what? The New World Order is still trying to do its thing. They're going to fail. But guess what? Had we had teachers that really listened and got out the way, we would have been in a better predicament.
Of course.
And we wouldn't be in the way when these people are destroying certain things that they're destroying. I'm on an interview. So so now we getting destroyed because we live in these people's towns, in their states, and we're living underneath their power in poverty. Because a lot of us, and I'm just saying this off the first bat, can't just get up and move as individuals. But as if we had the group mentality, if we was into our own self and what we brought to the table, and we knew about cycles and seasons, and we actually in our time and cycle to get out the way, we would have been relocated, and the positive force of nature would have guided us into more of a safer environment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But we've been led to believe we cut off unless it's in the image of likeness or whatever religion you follow, not knowing the same thing. Same thing with Malcolm. Rest in peace. No disrespect.
Malik Al-Shabazz.
Right? To Malik Al-Shabazz. That's the name he passed under. I always wanted to keep that respectful. And I'm gonna jump into that. His family too, following Crump, that Black lawyer that got fame off of Trayvon. He wasn't the lead attorney on that. He done got with Malcolm them daughters, and they suing the FBI for $100 million. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. All right. All right. So now you have Malcolm knew about the Arabs and the slave trade and what they did and how they used Islam to do what it was doing. But the spirit that was ruling him didn't make him have enough brain and the determination to say, you know what, I shouldn't even be practicing Islam. This is their stuff. The same way the Nation Islam has Christianity elements in it all the way through. And the fact that you claim the Caucasian is the devil, y'all got a white man as y'all God. This is the powers of the spirits. See? That's the program, and we have to fight and struggle hard to get away from that. So that's our problem, is we are not using the reasonability that's here, that's known as nous to the Greeks, meaning pure intelligence, or nupu, and all of that. That's our problem. That's what we need to be trying to figure out. And that's what I do my videos for and spread, because noon is for all race of people, but it's in the nature of the African race, because our original nature was beautiful and caring and looking out for one another as our ancestors did in the beginning. We are connected to Nupu. That's our lifeline. The other races don't come from Nupu. When Nupu produced us, then died and came back as other races, that's when the Egyptian story talk about Ta, that Ta was the creator of gods and men. That's the Kemetic story about that on a lower level. We have the ability, because we're in tune with the primary creator of the universe, and we have that connection in our DNA and the mentality to follow that to become better, is why we're not doing that. We're still being our worst selves because we're in the environment of Leviathan and the deterioration of what gamma radiation is doing to us, and now to the Caucasian. That's why you see their leadership that deteriorated. Joe Biden is a prime example of their power structure. That's what he represents. All of the weird, ridiculous stuff that he's doing, and that's meaning that nature, as far as mankind, and reached this peak of being senile, and they don't know what else to do. Their religions are not working. None of that's going to work, and they're in trouble. And if we don't figure out what we need to do, you're going to pass away with them, because religion and government are one and the same. That's one and the same. Some say
Excellent.
God or the devil or gold or what's the other, the D stand for? Gold or
Gold, oil, and drugs.
right, all of that, same thing. All them is dealing with Leviathan.
Generator, operator, destroyer.
There you go. And they praying to the same forces that put them in this situation. I even seen a video today of a preacher saying that God is gay and lesbian. It was crazy on Instagram. I was like, yo,
hey, we don't know about none of that stuff.
I was like, wow, but this is where they at.
Yeah, most definitely. Sibling, you this is a real interesting one, man. And we gotta definitely revisit once you've done your additional due diligence and study on that completion of the historical Jesus. We definitely need to definitely touch on that, most definitely.
Right, I'm gonna come back to that. I should be finished when you got another open spot. When your next spot is open,
we'll sort that, man. We'll sort that. Don't even trip, man. Couple, I would say probably 2 weeks, probably 2-week period at the very most. At the very most.
Okay, I'll be way finished by then.
Yeah. Give thanks. I will make sure I'll put the links below in the description to the YouTube channel. I'll put the the Instagram page down. Make sure you check the links below. Trustfully, this has been an edutaining and insightful build. Like, comment, subscribe, share, jump on the train and all that good stuff, man.
All right, I appreciate it. You know how we do. We always got to do an intro before we get down to it. So I'll see you hopefully in 2 weeks.
Most definitely, sibling.
All right.